It is a beautiful day in the middle of the Midwest. It's a valuable day here at the University of Smooth because we're getting philosophical on you. We talk all the time on this channel about male value and female value. In a word, strength. In a word, fertility. I know you love that female value so much, so do I. But what's the value of value? We're going to start off with a religious quote. Don't worry, this is not a religious lesson. We are a secular institution here at the University of Smooth, but occasionally you come across a quote that's instructive and maybe there's a parallel. C.S. Lewis, if you aim at heaven, you will get the earth thrown in. If you aim at earth, you will get neither. Briefly, that essentially means that if you have a relationship with God and your goal should legitimately be to get into heaven, of course. I'm a believer, I want to go to heaven, and the principle in religion, and this is obviously, it's considered an ancient truth, it reflects an ancient truth. I don't know if it's provable, but it's something you take on faith, is that if you aim for heaven, you will get the earth thrown in, which is to say, if you are a transcendental individual who has this kind of relationship and demonstrates it throughout the world responds. But if you are here simply to enjoy the finer things in life and to focus on baser pleasures, then you won't even get those. How true, how provable, this is something you take on faith, but you get the concept that if you have this higher aim in your life, the things that come with it tend to be more than just what you thought you would get by aiming there. And in fact, those things that come with it tend to be things that you may have wanted to begin with. How does this relate to value? It does not relate to female value, at least as far as the University of Smooth is concerned. Fertility is fertility. It is what it is. It's there to help keep us alive. But male value, this big, huge thing that is for the entire world, that varies and fluctuates all over the map. Now we've got something to unpack. In our culture where we have crumbling institutions that have disrespected the male sex drive, the longhouse, which is the government longhouse, the educational longhouse, the entertainment longhouse, even the religious longhouse, all of those tend to have this same sensibility when it comes to male value, which is give us your sacrifice. Give us your sacrifice. We will take the benefit of your sacrifice, men, and especially young men. You will sacrifice for us because it is your duty. The reason it's set up that way is because men are by nature sacrificial. Men are by nature the ones who take the risks. Nature experiments with men. There are plenty of other guys who talk about intersexual dynamics who make this point. Eggs are expensive, sperm is cheap. So male value comes from this side of the ledger where sperm is cheap. You take risks with sperm. I know, risky all over the place. Well, all right, boy, we better watch ourselves there. But the problem with that is it is something that does not square with reality. As we've said before, institutions in our society are crumbling in part because they disrespect the male sex drive. Another way of phrasing that is they disrespect the value of male sacrifice. When they essentially dictate that a man must sacrifice, and by the way, a lot of institutions, both religious and otherwise, like to imply this religious obligation, like, oh, this is what men are supposed to do on behalf of women, on behalf of the rest of their society, because there is a certain level of truth, but that truth has been exploited heavily in our modern society. So what happens when you aim for other people's value as a man? Well, you get neither. That is fundamentally true. If you are not focused on your own value and instead your existence is pretty much a testament to the value of other people in your life, other corporations, other institutions, that you've basically been giving over whatever value you have without actually focusing on your own value, then you have no value that you've retained. And on top of that, whatever you've given away, it's not really worth much to them because you have failed to cultivate your own value. So this is why we say when you focus on your value, you get your value. And on top of that, you get the value of others thrown in. This is because when you focus on your own value, we call it get jacked, learn game, convert your talent to clout. All of those types of values, with the possible exception of building up your finances, every one of those is a form of value that you get to keep. You get to keep your physicality when you build it up. You get to keep every social skill that you develop through learning game. You get to keep whatever status you acquire by converting your talent to clout in whatever context that applies. Yeah, you can lose it in certain other ways, but you don't get it and then it automatically goes to somebody else. But do you see how this works? This is the value of having value. When you have that value, people want that value because they see it. They'll take the value of somebody who lacks pretty much all value, who has not built himself up. They'll take that value, but it's still worth nothing. If the man has not done what he could do to build up himself, then there's really not much to give away. And when you build this up, dude, it's hard to give away without getting the benefit in return. You can have a spirit of generosity. You can have a spirit of sacrifice, but the value of value is that it is self-generated. So disregard the noise about building value or having frame, as some will call it, as a selfish endeavor. It must be, because without you having a lot of value, other people, they just don't care. It sounds a little negative to say, oh, I'm just focusing on myself, but there's substance to it. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and dude, aim at your value. You'd be surprised who else wants a piece of it. Take care.